The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome back to the Pod at the Palace. I'm your host, Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas. Does it feel a little bit weird? I mean, it's crazy. You know, Friday, we had 4 episodes of the Pod at the Palace. So we took it easy on Saturday, and we sort of took it easy on Sunday, except we watched an hour and a half of Razorback basketball, and we're recording here on a Sunday night to have this kind of a jam-packed show coming out Monday morning. It's good stuff. If you're a Razorback basketball fan, I don't know how you aren't just buzzing this morning. I mean, seriously, what a great weekend. This is about as good as it gets outside of the actual basketball season, which is creeping up on us, right? But, I mean, good grief. You wake up Friday morning and you get Abdou Toure committed. So you have, I mean, you've been able to spend the entire weekend, the last couple of days here, honestly, laughing at UConn and Providence fans who were in their feelings online. You had primetime at the Palace on Friday evening, which was really, really cool event. It was a fun time. You got to see the guys throwing out a bunch of dunks, make a bunch of threes. It was a hype machine, but I think it served its purpose, right? And if you missed any of the coverage or breakdowns, by the way, on that, make sure you go back and check out our Inside Arkansas YouTube channel, because we have reactions and, some content for every single bit of it. But then on Sunday, I mean, it was a Razorback marathon, right? On all the FanDuel Sports pages, you had the entire Razor's Edge docuseries of John Calipari from last year that was put out there with an hour and a half of Arkansas's live stream pro day mixed in there. Beautiful stuff, people. I mean, this is cool for anybody, especially if you wait until the end and you watch the 5-on-5 and everything like that. But for the real sickos out there who love the practice stuff, love the breakdowns, love the coaching points, love the drills, I mean, it was Christmas in October, people. So I watched every single second of it. In fact, I've watched most of it twice now and listened to every word of what was said at the pro day, with a ton of takeaways, a ton of notes that I want to share with you guys this morning. Obviously, that's what we were going to talk about. Also have quite a few updates from the weekend on the recruiting front as well, as John Calipari's focus seems to be narrowing down to just a handful of prospects. So a really fun show to get into. So let's get into it, but let's start, as always, with a shout out to our sponsors for today's episode. It's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. You know, when we were out doing our live show at Goat Lab Red on Friday, we had so many people out there. They ran out of wings. That was awesome. That's a good thing. They'll have more next time, I promise. Our goal is for our guys over at Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas to run out of lights because Inside Arkansas listeners have cleaned them out. That's what we're striving for here. If you're in Northwest Arkansas or the River Valley, have Walter Christmas Lighting install and set up your house with professional Halloween and Christmas lighting like you've never seen before. You know the drill. They provide the materials, any color, any pattern. They install the lights. They do the maintenance. They come take it down for you in January. If you sign up for your Halloween lights, still time to do that, by the way. They're also going to give you your Christmas lights for 50% off. So just text our guy Brett for a free estimate at 479-459-1380. You can also check out their website at walterchristmaslighting.com or like them on Facebook by scanning the QR code on your screen. All righty. Let's talk pro day on campus at the U of A Sunday afternoon. Any of you who were at primetime at the Palace and then watched this pro day on Sunday, you can see the differences clear as day, right? Friday night was for entertainment. It was designed for kids. It was lighthearted. It was fun. It was designed to put a smile on faces and get butts out of their seats without risking anybody overdoing it, overexerting themselves, getting hurt, except for TB trying to jump over Elmer Zavich, which he did successfully. But that's what that was for. Sunday at the practice facility, the competitiveness was on an entirely different level. Why? Well, because you have your basketball team out there going through the gauntlet in front of scouts and personnel from all 30 NBA teams. The entire sideline was covered with NBA draft personnel, scouts, assistant GMs, you name it, they were out there. Really cool. Like, you want some real draft stock, not just have your name put on somebody's random big board mock draft, which we talk about those two. Those are cool. But this is how you get it done. This is how you get on radars. This is how you get people talking about you, generate some buzz. By the way, this is going to be a long show today. Okay, so we knew it was coming. The closer we get to the season, the more excited I get to talk about it, the more yapping that I have to do, but it's all important. So get your coffee and lock in here. We need to talk about it. Hopefully you've all watched the pro day by now. If you haven't, go back to the FanDuel Sports YouTube channel and you can watch the thing in its entirety. I highly, highly recommend that. It was really fun. Like I said, I've watched most of it twice now. I'm recording here into the evening Sunday, and I'm probably going to watch it again. I'll probably, if I get the little man to sleep and I'm on the graveyard shift, I'm just going to pull it back up and check it out again. Because when I watched the second time, there were things I didn't catch the first time. I was like, oh, damn, note. Let me take that real quick, right? So it's good stuff here. But let's talk about the day, how it was set up, what the broadcast crew had to say, which I have something to say about that. But what was notable and most importantly, what stood out from the fellas here. So let me actually switch my personal tabs over because I do have a lot of notes. Okay, boom, we're ready to roll. First of all, shout out to FanDuel, shout out to Hogs Plus, shout out to everyone who was involved here. This is a legit operation, man. Like, I didn't know what to expect, but they had, it was professionally done. And they had multi-cameras, multi-views, microphones set up there. This is good. They had graphics ready for all of the guys with different information on there. They did a really good job putting this together. And I'm sure it's been in the works for a while here. We heard about it, Thursday or Friday afternoon or something. Like it really hadn't been that long. And so I was thinking, are they rushing this from the production standpoint? No, it was very well done. They had Cal mic'd up, which was awesome. My only complaint was Fratello on the Zoom link. And it would have been better if he was there in person, but he was probably watching the same setup that we were. And so being remote, there were times where, Cal was talking and he was hot mic'd, and then he was trying to talk and make a point. And it was like he was talking over him. It was like, yo, hang on, bro. So it was a little bit awkward there at times. But other than that, I thought it was really, really well done there. About what I expected it to be. Like, they started with some full court warm-up drills, kind of like they did at primetime at the Palace the other day, little 3-man weave. They worked on some pick and roll reads to get the juices flowing a little bit. Then at one point they had the guys doing some different, positional drills on one end. They were doing vertical leap testing on the other, which TB, Billy Richmond looked like they were taking flight out there, by the way. Then they started getting into some really cool stuff. And they did one drill that they were calling advantage, disadvantage. And essentially what they were doing is testing the reads of offense and defense. But I love this drill. It's like read, react, make a decision, make a play. And it basically started with the on-ball defender, and they did some 3-on-3, 4-on-4, but the on-ball defender was like a step behind. So you have to scramble and catch up, and it gets the defense in scramble mode, so they're doing some decision-making, and then the offense has to make the best play based on what the defense does. Who's helping over? Do they not? Can you finish? Do you have to kick out? Really cool, and I thought they did some good stuff there. A lot of really good ball movement. They got into some 4-on-4 work with the heavy emphasis on post entries. So they would dump it down into the post, and then it was kind of designed to move the ball back out and get you into some, short rolls off of dribble handoffs, a lot of stuff rolling through the high post. They're really running a lot of things through their post players. And I'll talk about that more in a minute, but I like this. I like the way that it looks. Putting the defense in scramble and help mode, making some good decisions. They ran a lot of 5-on-5, so they did scrimmage quite a bit. Now, for the most part, when they scrimmage, you had the red team, which was Darius Acuff, Malik Thomas, Carter Knox, Isaiah Sealy, Nick Pringle. You had the white team, which was DJ, Jaden Carletwa, Billy Richmond, TB, and Malik Ewan. And they eventually switched it up, and they went with the group that I projected as Arkansas starters. Now we'll see if what winds up happening at the center spot. But it was DJ Wagner, Darius Acuff, Carter Knox, Trevin Brazile, and Malik Ewan. And that group I thought looked really, really good too in a lot of ways. I will say, though, that they made that switch, and you look at that and you're like, okay, is that where they're leaning towards for the starting lineup? But then the other team, which was Malik Thomas, Billy Richmond, Jaden Carletwa, Isaiah Sealy, and Nick Pringle, they made some really good plays against them too on offense. Like that 4-guard look with Billy running some at the point on both ends. It gave him some trouble. It was a lot of fun to watch, man. I'm fascinated by it. A few thoughts off the top of my head. These dudes can shoot it. They can. I want to see it translate in games, but between, the practice we went at when they were going live in July, and then prime time at the Palace, which, you had some drills, a 3-point contest, a very light, exhibitionish, all-star game-ish type of scrimmage, but then a much more competitive pro day, whether it was drills or the live action stuff. These guys can shoot it, man. They can. So that's encouraging. I think somebody told me, like their unofficial count from the 5-on-5 work, which is like 20 to 30 minutes at the end, that they went 7 of 14 from 3, which, hey, that's good, man. I like it. But what I will say is, like, the spacing is there right now. Guys were knocking down open shots. It wasn't a clank fest like we've seen in the past. So that's super encouraging to me. And there were multiple guys who were knocking down. Trust me, I got notes galore here in a few minutes on literally every player. So we'll talk about that individually, but I like it. Something else that stood out to me, when a body hits the floor out there and play stops, the entire team sprints over to help them up. And whatever, it's a subtle thing. It's a thing that you try to coach, but it's a culture thing. Is football doing that? Right now? No, they're not. It's a culture thing, and it's little things like that go a long way. The body language is good. The energy was good. It needs to be when you're playing in front of a bunch of scouts, but we've seen that consistently now, and we've heard it behind the scenes about how this team is holding each other accountable, and they're bought in, and it's like the one team, one unit, one goal type of deal, and you're seeing that now. Like, it's one thing to hear it. It's one thing to see it multiple times. So, yeah, that caught my attention. I love how much they're emphasizing getting it into the high post. They dump it into the high post, and they would get into some dribble handoff action and really get you into some short rolls. And by short rolls, like pick and roll, like the big man sets the ball screen, and the roll, usually you think about, okay, like he's turning, he's rolling hard to the rim. Can we get it into him? Can we throw up a lob for a dunk? Do we reverse it? And can we get the big man seal in for a post-up look? A short roll is, instead of rolling all the way to the rim, you kind of roll into open space. So if you're setting that pick and roll screen, above the 3-point line, these guys are trying to roll into open space, like right in that elbow free throw line-ish area. And in some cases, even back towards the 3-point line, and getting the ball there and making a play. And so what is that going to look like? And it was creating a lot of mismatches where the defense might be in scramble mode off of the dribble handoff, and then you've got a guard on your big. So what does that look like? A lot of interesting action there, I thought. And, I think we're going to see a lot of this season. And they didn't do quite as much of it when they were in the live 5-on-5 stuff, but they did like 20 minutes of just working on it in 4-on-4 type of looks. And then at one point, Cal literally called for that exact action in the 5-on-5 scrimmage. They ran it, and they got a wide open 3 and knocked it down. So good stuff to see there from the Razorbacks. But whether it's Pringle or Ewan or TB, they really like the idea of those guys making the plays and those guys initiating some things, and they think they've got some mismatch potential there. I tend to agree. And the action they were running, it creates a lot of movement in one direction of the floor, and then it gets you into some actions where you can really just kind of clear out an entire side of the floor for guys who can create and make plays off the bounce. And this team's got a lot more wiggle and playmakers at various positions than they did a year ago. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was very notable that they were doing that. And honestly, I'll say this, since Mark Pope, shared his pie chart or whatever with Arafan about how, Arkansas and the other contenders, the usage rate for their bigs last season, fine. Okay. That was a year ago. I would just forward him the link to this pro day and say, my man, did you see what we literally worked on the entire time in front of NBA scouts? And so you come here, and we'll be doing that for you next year. And then we'll get to the season, and we'll be running our offense through you next year. Not, math over here. We have to show it to you, on a bell curve or something. This is what we're actually doing, what we're tangibly working on. So, notable. Let's see. What else before I get into the individual stuff? Oh, there were a couple segments there where Cal had to stop him for over dribbling a little bit. He stopped Malik Thomas a couple times. Stopped Darius Acuff at one point, was like, dude, you're so good with the ball in your hands. Why are you trying to do too much with it? Like, just get to your spot because you can whenever you want to. But for the most part, I got to say, in the scrimmage, the ball was really moving. Really good offense, extra passes, quality shots, not a lot of turnovers, not a whole lot of stagnant play in there where things are break down and it's just one guy creating and making a play and taking a tough shot. They didn't have much of that. And this pleases me. So, we'll see what it looks like when you're playing somebody else and you don't know what they're doing. You don't know their tendencies, what that might look like, but encouraged by what I've seen so far there. I think I really like the coachability with this group. I mean, you got to think we're in October. And so we're like 2 weeks into official practices. They've been together since the end of May, like Memorial Day weekend or whatever, but they've been doing like 1 hour a week, or 1 hour a day, like 3 or 4 days a week on the floor until the last couple weeks where they've been able to ramp it up here. But man, dang near every time John Calipari stopped them, huddled them up, told them exactly what he wanted them to run, they would do it. And then it was a bucket. So like at one point he talked them through their Clyde cuts, which is basically the action that they were running in March Madness. And against Texas Tech a number of times, or, TB he'd keep slipping baseline and he'd get an easy dunk, or he'd either get a wide open corner three or be able to slide in from the dunker spot and get a lob or whatever. But they kept running that similar action, and Texas Tech had nothing for it with TB. So Cal talks them through that. And then the very next possession, they run it. And right away, you have Isaiah Sealy, who hits Billy Richmond on the exact same cut for an open layup. That's the stuff you love to see from a team in early October, that you can talk them through something. He wasn't drawing it up on the whiteboard, literally talked them through it. Then they run it and you get a bucket. That's good. That's encouraging. This team has more wiggle and off script creation, multiple guys who can do things than they did last year. Last year, people were like, why is DJ taking the last shot? He was the only guy that could create one with, because you had a dude who could, duck his head and get to the rim whenever he wanted, or you had Boogie who could really create. Outside of that, you didn't have a ton of it. Like Carter Knox is that rip and drive guy, but still working on the creation aspect of it, especially last year. Nelly, yeah, he had a little bit of that, but he struggled handling the ball. Like that wrist was never really right. You didn't have a lot of options there this year. I mean, Acuff is good for it, man. Malik Thomas is good for it. DJ has improved. Carter and Billy have improved. And then you got your bigs who are mismatch problems. So they got a lot of guys that even if things do break down, you can give them the rock and just say, all right, make a play, man. You can do that. Got a little bit sloppy late. I came away very, very pleased overall with just the lack of turnovers and stagnant play, though I did. We'll talk about the individual players here in a sec, or like right now, actually. But I do think, there wasn't a single guy out there, and there were some who I thought really, really stood out, and we'll talk about it. But there wasn't one guy that I walked away from the day thinking, man, he had a rough one, or damn, wasn't his day. Sucks that he didn't have a good day in front of the scouts or anything. No, I thought for the most part, you saw some of the things that you wanted to see out of all these guys, especially the main rotation players. And Cal even said as much at the end. Like he wound up huddling them up at one point there at the very end, and he was kind of whispering, like, you don't want the scouts to hear this, but he was mic'd up. And he was like, hey, like I kind of think that everybody helped themselves here at this point. So let's wrap this thing up before we get too tired and get too sloppy. Like we'll get into some shooting drills and let the guys see that. But as far as the up and down, I think we're good here. And it's kind of what you like to hear. I like the awareness there from John Calipari. That's pretty good stuff there. Okay. Let's talk about some guys individually. Before we do that, I'm going to take a sip of my drink here because I'm parched. But and again, we've got some recruiting updates at the end of the show. It's going to be long, man. It's just, it is what it is, right? This is a very eventful weekend that I'm excited about. So, this is good, by the way. Liquid Death. It's like the flavored water. Some of them are like super carbonated and it's whatever, but this is a blueberry buzzsaw flavored tea. Pretty tasty, man. It's refreshing. I'm not going to lie. They don't sponsor us. If they want to, they can, and we'll talk about them more. But anyway, let's just run through all these guys. Darius Acuff. So he, for the longest, really in the practice that we watched in July, and like it was whatever in a little scrimmage the other night at Bud Walton Arena, but up until they got into the 5-on-5 stuff, he just has seemed to me to be very much in like initiate and facilitate mode out there. And I've just kind of been waiting for him to let loose a little bit because I know how good of a creator he is. He started scoring it in the scrimmage, which I've just been waiting for to see him pop. Like I've never seen Acuff make a play and be like, I don't know, man. Is this dude good for it? But there'll just be long stretches where I'm thinking, okay, I've seen this guy do this and this guy do that, but I'm waiting for Leak to do, or for Darius Acuff to do something where I'm like, oh wow, there it is. And finally started to see some of that. He's done a lot of little subtle things really, really well. But creating, making plays, knocking down shots. I've been waiting and saw some of that in this pro day. So that's good. And I will say, between primetime at the Palace and the pro day here with Darius Acuff, I feel so much better about his ability to take and knock down threes. And I'm not going to sit here and say I think he's going to be a 40% three-point shooter. He might. But I think there was some worry that is he going to shoot like DJ or, and no knock on DJ. We'll talk about him in a minute, but no, this dude can make shots, man. Okay. Like he's going to be an asset for Arkansas from three. And that immediately changes the way I think about this team's upside from a perimeter shooting standpoint. And by the way, I had somebody tell me who has a pretty good indication that Acuff was the team leader from three on the Noah machine this summer. So good. He's a hell of a passer, by the way. They started some 3-on-3 stuff, and he had one play, and we were kind of doing a little live chat on the Discord while this was going on, but he threw up a lob up at the square to TB that he high pointed and flushed, which is really impressive on both ends. He had another that I remember where he was kind of coming off of a ball screen that was set pretty low, like inside the 3-point line. It was a side ball screen, and he wound up catching a double, and he was able to just kind of turn his body in the air and hit Nick Pringle right in the breadbasket for a pass that he dunked. Just some really, really good floor vision there. He's a real weapon in ball screen action. He makes good decisions. I think he reads those really well. I'm excited to see what he can do in pick and rolls with these bigs that he has, because they're all talented and all versatile. He really gets into the paint whenever he wants. Acuff does. And I think that goes a little bit unseen here early on because he's not forcing a bunch of shots. So the reason why is because he's finding the open guy, but he can get to the nail at any time. And when your point guard can get 2 feet in the paint whenever he wants to, that opens up so much for you offensively. And he's really able to do that. And that's impressive because they were pressuring the hell out of him, whether it was DJ or, Malik Thomas or whoever. They were really like, you could hear the coaches yelling, like, get in him, pressure him. They are really trying to challenge him to, make plays when he's under duress. And he was. And so that's good. Not turn it over a bunch, which is good. He had a really nice corner 3 catch and shoot in live work that they were doing. Hit one from the left wing late, and it was contested too. So it's nice to see him hit some threes in the open run. And he had one point in transition, I remember, where you kind of got downhill, and it was just him. Like he was really leading his own break there, and just absorbed some contact in the body, got a little bit of separation off the glass. Good looking stuff. I was impressed with him today. I want to see him, though, personally, dig those heels in a little bit more defensively. And I'm not saying he can't guard. I'm not saying that he was getting blown up, or anything like that on that end of the floor. But I'm watching how the other guards are pressuring him and thinking, okay, like you're kind of keeping your man in front, but I want to see you in somebody's shorts like they're doing you, like harass them that way, because you all see Darius Acuff, man, he looks like a SEC running back. He's long, he's jacked, he's athletic. And I'm like, there's a lot in there that suggests this dude could be a menace defensively. And I would rather see him go from being fine to really, really digging in on that end. So that's something I'll be watching with Darius Acuff moving forward. DJ Wagner. DJ looks improved, man, from 3. Okay, like I'm hesitant to say it because it's like knock on wood. You don't want it to be fool's gold or anything. But again, like when you've heard consistently that he's improved his shooting throughout the course of the summer, and then he's knocking down shots at the practice you're at, and he's knocking down shots at primetime at the Palace. And then you have this pro day, and it's not just in the drills, right? It's the live action stuff in the flow of basketball where he's making threes. That's really good to see. Like I remember one in particular during the scrimmage where Darius Acuff, he gets caught going underneath on a ball screen. DJ pulls up from like 22 feet, splashes a 3. That's the kind of stuff you like to see. I feel like the release has gotten a little bit quicker, a little bit more compact than it was before. Like it's almost like the little hitch is still there, but it's not as pronounced as it was. And I think that's helped him a little bit. But he hit a number of threes. And every time he did, I'm like, gosh, man, if he's doing that in games, this dude's going to be really, really hard to defend. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So he had that moment where he caught Acuff sleeping, right? Caught him slipping, going underneath. The first possession when Cal switched up the teams and him and Acuff were sharing the backcourt, you had he was off ball. Acuff was on ball. And first possession, Acuff goes right off the ball screen. Help comes over. He kicks it out to the right corner. DJ, catch, shoot, 3-ball, cashed it. And if he's able to do that when those guys are sharing the backcourt, and again, like with Acuff, proving that he can knock down some threes, I feel so much better about that whole dynamic right there between those two guys sharing the floor together. So it's good. Hell, and honestly, what stood out more than anything to me with DJ is how much more bouncy and athletic he looks compared to last year. I mean, he was popping off the floor a little bit out there. Looks like his first step is a little bit quicker. He's playing above the rim a little more. This is good. And then, man, he was giving Acuff hell defensively, just all over him. Credit to the Frosh again for handling it well, but we've heard all the chatter about, yeah, man, DJ's been one of the standouts. DJ's gotten better. He's improved. He has. He absolutely has. And I'm anxious to see how much when we get to see him against some other competition. Malik Thomas, he's so smooth with it. He was shooting the cover off of it in, the warm-up stuff and then all the drills that they were doing, the 4-on-4 stuff. He didn't miss a shot until, hell, it might have been until we got into the scrimmage portion or at least deeper into the live. Like, it was like every time he took a shot, I'm like, man, every single time I have been able to see these guys compete now since they got on campus, I'm just being honest with you, Malik Thomas has been one of, if not the best out there, one of the standouts every single time. And so at some point it goes from, boy, we keep catching him on good days, but I think he's going to be streaky or whatever. At some point, you just got to wonder, is he just really, really good all the time? You know what I mean? I know that he's going to have the ebbs and flows as a freshman. I know he has things that he needs to work on. I know there's one thing in particular that drives Cal nuts about him, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but good grief, every time we see him, he's balling out. So I love the idea of him being, the sixth man of the year type, where he just comes off the bench as a microwave scorer and is cooking folks, but I'm not so sure he doesn't need to be in the lineup with the way that he's looking. So I cannot wait to see him in Hot Springs. I can't wait to see him in these exhibition games, but he's looked good. And I absolutely love his body language. He's intense. The motor is always running hot. He's talking out there. He had some really nice passes too. I remember a side pick and roll where he dropped one right in there for Nick Pringle again for an easy dunk for him. He can get a shot off anytime that he wants. It's not always a great one, but the dude's just a tough shot maker. And there was one point there where he had a tough runner off the glass, and it was like high arcing. It's one of those shots where he takes it and you're like, God, is that the best look you can get? Then he makes it, and then John Calipari says, dude, I'm never gonna complain about your floater game. Like, that's a big part of your game. And if it's 2 bounces and you get into it, great. It's when you take 12 dribbles and it's just side to side to side to side to side to side, and you're wasting time, you're not getting anywhere. That's what they're really working on him on. Stop over dribbling. And Cal did stop practice a couple times. It's like, hey, you're dribbling too much again. Like, make it a little bit more compact. We don't need all that. Okay. And so that's something for him to work on. But listen, if he's making plays, I know you don't want the ball to stick and, you don't want things to start running stagnant, but when they do, he's somebody who can go get you one. And he's going to be a sniper for this basketball team, shooting it well and handling it well. And honestly, you question sometimes, with Malik Thomas, like, all right, how well is he going to be able to defend SEC guards, SEC wings? And I really thought he held his own very well. And once they switched the teams up and he was defending Darius Acuff, I thought he did a great job on him. So we'll continue to watch it, but I'm very encouraged by the things I've been seeing from Malik Thomas. I promise this isn't 100% a glaze fest, but the guys did look good today. All right, they did. Let's see here. Carter Knox. Okay. Woo. Sorry, I had to take another sip. They were really talking Carter up on the broadcast, just as being like an underrated, not talked about enough breakout star nationally this season. And hopefully he is, man. Hopefully he is. They were doing that advantage disadvantage drill that I was talking about, and he was really killing guys, driving it from the top of the key. And that's when he looked his best today. Those car crash moments that John Calipari likes to talk about, where he gets it, rips it, gets downhill, absorbs contact, and he just finishes through dudes. He's too powerful. He's too athletic, and looked really good there. He's getting quite a few deflections that I remember defensively. He was stepping into a couple threes early, but in the scrimmage, I'm not sure if I remember him making one. Maybe he did. I have to go back and watch, but I know that he did a little bit earlier. I still want to see him take over in one of these scrimmage settings, kind of like he did in that Texas Tech game, right? Like, we know he's good for it, so it's not that big of a deal, but if he's going to be your alpha, you kind of want to see it consistently in these little, pro days or practices or whatever. He was a great teammate out there today, and that's awesome. But I will say, like, there was more than one time when Cal stopped them and he told Carter, like, hey, you need to be taking that shot. Hey, why are you giving it up? Hey, shoot that one. They're really encouraging him to be more of a volume guy. And I hope he takes that advice. Like, hell, I wish my coach would tell me to shoot more when I was playing. You had to tell me twice, man. But he was making some good passes and good plays. And it was very much the sandwich, compliment and critique of, hey, that's a good pass, right? We like making the extra pass, but you need to be taking that shot. So just a little bit of that. It's okay to be a little selfish when you're that damn good. You know what I mean? So anyway, Billy Richmond, I can confirm that the 3-point shot looks improved. It looks improved. You need to see it to translate to games, right? He was making as many as anybody else during warmups and during the shooting drills that they were doing. And that's, the most important thing for him as you're watching him as a pro day. If you're a scout, right? It's like, okay, is there something that we can work with here with the shot? Because he really has most of everything else, right? And he was a little bit quiet during a lot of the half court things, but when they started getting up and down, we know that's where Billy thrives. Like, right away, first of all, they did the thing where Cal splits up the teams and they say, okay, let's go 5-on-5. Here we go. And then they went to a commercial, and it was a diabetes commercial and a sunscreen commercial. And we're like, dude, we're missing half the scrimmage here. As soon as they come back, Billy gets switched on to A-cuff, picks his pocket, goes coast to coast, dunks it. And it's like, oh yeah, there's Billy. Great. He got DJ in an ISO situation at one point and got middle on him, finished on him with the left hand, did some really good things there. He looked super, super bouncy when they were doing the vertical testing and everything. I wish you'd have more opportunities to let that three fly in the scrimmage portion of things. But there was at one point where I watched him take 4 in a row on the near end of the floor when they were watching some of the drills, and looks good. Looks pretty good there. So I don't know how huge of a part of his game it's going to be, but all you got to do is respect it. They just have to be able to respect it a little bit. And that's going to go a long way there for Billy. Trevin Brazil. I hope that folks who were tapped in this weekend now believe what we've been preaching, which is that there's just something a little bit different about TB going into this season. Crazy work on the vertical testing. We know that. They had him in the corner on that advantage disadvantage situation. Again, it's like you've got your defender on the hip, and it's basically a 3-on-2 with a trailer type situation. And, you got your guys in the corner and you make some plays. And they had Trevin in the corner in that drill, and it was unfair. Because if the help defender came from the corner, you kick it out to him, he's knocking down a 3 on you all day. And if they're sleeping or they're caught in no man's land, he was crashing and they were throwing it up to the lob for him. And he's going to catch that and dunk it every single time. Thrives in that spot. Looked really good there. He was cooking on that short roll that we were talking about a little bit ago, right around the free throw line. And man, he would catch there and it was like, all right, pull up jumper, knock it down. That's great. Sometimes he would float it back and take the 3. And if, like Malik Ewan at one point tried to close hard on him, drove right by him, bucket. No big deal. Passing from there as well. And Trevin can get a little turnover happy at times, but, he had a nice high-low pass that he made. I think it was to Malik Ewan actually, on the seal. So working the big on big crime right there was really good. He caught that insane lob from Darius Acuff where he's like up over the square and knocked it home. And then on the defensive end of the floor, like if you think about how the teams are split up at times there, he was having to defend, Sealy or Carter or, a wing. And I don't remember many instances where I was going, oh, dang, TV. Oh, yeah, that's a tough matchup for him. And that's really all you can ask for, right? Nick Pringle, the thing about Nick Pringle, he's crazy athletic. He really sprints the floor. He plays so hard all the time. That mid-range that he's starting to knock down a little bit is a new development. Maybe that translates to the free throw line also, which would be great. But just some little things that really stand out with Nick Pringle. He switches a ball screen onto DJ Wagner and immediately pressures him. Like sometimes a big gets switched onto a guard and they're giving him a lot of cushion and you're just trying to get in a big stance. Like, oh, I can't let him blow by me or whatever, but you're not doing anything there. It's just like, keep him in front, try to force him into a jumper, hope you get a rebound. Okay. No, he's like pressuring him. He switches onto him and he's guarding him and he forces a turnover. That's your point guard, man. So that's impressive. Same thing with Billy Richmond, defended him for an entire possession. Billy got nothing. It's good. And it was on that possession when Cal said, hey, man, Nick can switch and guard all these guards. And he can. And, respectfully, Nick Pringle is probably the least offensively talented player in Arkansas's rotation. But Cal is literally running offense through him, through all the bigs, but through Nick too. Why? It's because he plays so smart and unselfish. He's the strongest guy on the floor. Elmer is the strongest guy on the team. Pringle is the strongest guy on the actual floor, but he's a super high IQ guy. Makes good passes, good reads, is always in the right spot, knows where his teammates are going to be, and he just makes things flow out there a little bit better. So when we talk about, who you're going to start at the 5, what's it going to look like? Well, if you want offense, don't you want Ewan? Well, maybe if you want scoring, but there's something to be said for the flow of the offense when Nick Pringle's out there with a particular unit. And sometimes you don't have to have 5 lethal scorers out there, but somebody who can kind of be the glue, kind of be that Trey Wade type of player out there. And Nick Pringle possesses a lot of those traits. So I was pretty impressed with him today, but it was subtle. He wasn't getting a bunch of buckets. He wasn't going crazy out there with block shots and wild dunks and knocking down threes and everything like that. But it's like every little thing, every little nuance, it seems like he does it right. Malik Ewan, though, one of the biggest standouts to me. Malik Ewan, Malik Thomas, both those guys really impressed. DJ, I thought, looked really, really good. Malik Ewan's just going to be a nightmare for teams to deal with on offense. He really is. He is hitting threes. And he's doing it not just in drills, but now they're doing all this live action stuff. And even Cal is saying, hey, man, within the flow of the game, within the meat of the game, you get that shot, take it. Told him at one point when they were doing all that action around the free throw line with the bigs, he was like, hey, just get a little higher, man. Get out there on the 3-point line because he can operate out there. And so he's going to be greenlit to take that shot. Now, what I hope is that he doesn't fall in love with it. Sometimes you tell a big man they can shoot, and that's all they want to do. And it starts taking away from the good parts of their game, which he's got a lot of them offensively around the rim. He was hitting threes in live action. He was crashing baseline for lobs. He looked really good out there. Was cramping a little bit later, but then he came back out. One thing that Malik Ewan is really, really good at that we just haven't really seen yet and talked about much yet since they haven't been going live, but they did today, offensive rebounding. Like he was on the offensive boards a lot. His ability to put it on the floor on the perimeter, I think, gives Arkansas a lot more flexibility to do some things offensively. He had a post up on the left block and had Carter Knox in a blender. Like he spun it baseline, finished with an up and under. It might've been the best individual move I saw all day. It was nasty work. Really, really good. Offensively, I thought he was phenomenal. Defensively, still need to see more. I feel the same way about Malik Ewan as I do Darius Acuff defensively. Because I look at Ewan and I'm just like, man, I see you offensively. I see how talented you are. I see how athletic you are. See the way that you can move. And it's like, well, he could probably be more impactful on that end of the floor than he's showing so far, or than he's shown at Florida State or whatever. He gets bought in on that end of the floor. If I'm John Calipari, I just don't know who to play. Like you're just gonna have to play those guys together a little bit because him and Pringle bring so much value. Well, then it's like, damn, Trevin might be one of your best players. So are you going to play him at the 3, 4, and 5? No, please don't do that. We tried Trevin at the 3 before. Isaiah Sealy, He's going to play for this basketball team, folks. He's going to be in the rotation. The catch and shoot was looking good today. The catch and shoot 3. We know Isaiah Sealy is a good shooter, but this is something they've been working on with him because he's better off the bounce. And now he's knocking those down catch and shoot. If he can do that, that's going to have him in the rotation with more minutes than he would get otherwise. He hit one in the 4-on-4. He hit another one during the scrimmage. He's a very smart player. Sealy is. And there's a reason why he was, kind of like a point forward for his high school team. He has a feel for the game. He's comfortable handling it. Some freshmen just want to catch it and get rid of that thing as quickly as they can. He doesn't get panicky at all against pressure. He likes putting it on the deck. He almost dropped Trevin Brazil with a baseline crossover, like almost got his ankles right near the end of the scrimmage there. But he had an excellent one-handed dime to, I talked about the play. They were working on the cuts, right? And he hit Billy on that play that Cal just talked about with a really, really nice pass. He did a lot of good things out there. I need to pay more attention to what he's doing on the defensive end of the floor, but man, he's going to be an asset for these guys. I'm excited about him. Very, very bright future, a lot of potential. And he just continues to look the part and look like he belongs out there. Let me say this. Jaden Carletwa, we don't talk about him enough. He's the 10th man on this roster. Like we talk so much about the 2 bigs that they brought or, and everything, but and then maybe, if you need a big, you'd play him or whatever, but Jaden's your 10th man. He's the guy who was out there for every scrimmage is that 10th body. Elmer's your 11th man. Paolo, I believe, is redshirting, but the thing about Jaden, he's gotten a lot better since he got on campus. And if you guys recall, he was the one guy who would get half of a look last year when they were really, really running low on players. Like they would put Jaden in there for a couple minutes and, then they get him out or whatever. But he was the guy who had a little bit of trust from the rest of that group, Cash and Mello and everybody else. But Jaden doesn't make mistakes and he knows his role. He knows what he's doing. He's in the right places on offense and defense. And he made multiple threes in the scrimmage against the guys, right? So he runs his stuff. He's smart. He reads it well. He gets himself open. And if you pass it to him, he'll make an open 3. And can you ask for anything more from a 10th man? I don't think you can. So it was good to see. Now, Elmer and Paolo were out there for a majority of the early stuff, but they didn't participate in the scrimmage. They just kept it to the other 10 guys during the scrimmage portion. Elmer, here's what I'll say about him. First of all, no sooner than I saw him made a nice floater when they were working on some things. I was like, damn, it's a little bit of touch there, man. He just completely whiffed on a dunk over the rim. But they're really working with Elmer on being more twitchy and more explosive. So when people are like, oh man, how's the 7-footer miss a dunk? Well, it's because he's so big that he needs to catch it, gather, bend his knees, maybe take a dribble, then get up off the floor and dunk that thing with power. And they're working on, no, dude, catch, get off the floor, catch, get up, catch, use your calves, jump up there and dunk it. And so he's working on that while they're out there. So yeah, there's going to be times where it's not that smooth or it looks a little bit awkward, or maybe he misses it or whatever. But that's the point. That's what they're working on with him. And we'll see. Like, I don't know how much more athletic and twitchy they're going to be able to get him, but probably more so than he is now. And he can continue to drop a little bit of weight and everything. But what I love about him, he absolutely gets after it. He gets after it, man. They do the full court layup drill, and you can tell that he is going full speed more than anyone else out there. Now, he has to run his full speed to look like he's running as fast as the other guys, okay? I understand that, but I love his effort. I like his attitude. He's a big, strong kid. He dunked on Trevin in the primetime at the Palace deal. Grabbed a couple of rebounds in there. Again, I think he's your 11th man. Not going to be a guy that you're relying on in the rotation. Not going to be a guy that plays most nights in the SEC. But the way I see it is if you're playing these bye games, you think about how tough this schedule is for Arkansas in November and December, and you're playing one of these mid majors or low majors or whatever. And, in 2 nights, you got to go play Texas Tech or you got to play Duke or whoever, and you're up 30 on somebody with 6 minutes left in the game. Get Nick Pringle out of there. Get Malik Ewan out of there. Get Omer Zafich in and let him play. Let him play. Let him get some run. Why not? I'm all for that. And I hope that they do it because that'll help the team. You'd be amazed at how taking a rotation off or taking the last few minutes of a game off can impact you in terms of staying fresh throughout the course of the season, as opposed to being forced to, man, I played 37 minutes tonight in a blowout. Why did we do that? Why did I have to do that? So I hope that happens. And I hope they do that with Jaden as well. Paolo Smito, it was just good to see him out there since, he didn't play at primetime in the Palace. He wasn't on campus yet for that practice, so we haven't really been able to see him. You could tell he's really stuck in he's just overthinking it mode, overthinking everything. I think he's overwhelmed right now with information. And so I understand the red shirt idea even more now. Just a half step slow on a lot of things and not just playing, because, when he's doing the things like individual drills where he isn't overwhelmed, he's not thinking, okay, I got to set this screen, then I got to go here, then I got to do this. Cause then he's catching the pass and you can just tell he's just a little bit frazzled out there. The game is very sped up for a freshman, and eventually it slows down and you can really see their skills start to shine. We're not there yet with Paolo, but when they're doing other things like individual work or the full court drills where it's very simple, then you're seeing the dude. It's like, wow, he's 7'1", and dang, he looks comfortable putting on the floor. Oh, wow. Okay. That man looks like he's got some promise in that jump shot. It was a simple drill, like the GAs were, they were hitting the guys with the pads, and then you just have to absorb the contact and then go up and dunk it. And then you go to the other block and you get it. You absorb the contact, go up and dunk it. And he was, outside of TB, probably the most impressive in that drill. Like, you could see the tenacity in him. He's, dropping his shoulder and he's exploding up. He plays stronger than he looks, or maybe stronger than he actually is. But the game does really need to slow down for him. And the only way that's going to happen is just to continue to practice, right, against the guys, and continue to get reps in there. And he will. And so, like, he's going to be a hell of a, probably a hell of a scout team player this season, but he's going to be going up against these guys every single day and getting more and more comfortable. He's going to be a really good player, really, really good college basketball player at Arkansas. And I'm disappointed that it sounds like he's going to redshirt, just because I know the potential and the skill set there. And I think he could be in a similar spot to like what I think Elmer is going to be doing now, where, shoot, man, if you're, beating UCA by 32 with 5:35 to play in the game, get TB out of there. Let's let Paolo get some run and see what happens. But man, another year in the weight room, and he puts on, 15 pounds of muscle or so, and continues to work, understands the playbook, understands the terminology, which I think is a big part of it right now, because Cal was letting the chalk talk out there, and he was using a lot of terminology. They've got kind of an advanced vernacular in there for the different actions that they're running, and, the different cuts and the different motions, and he's got to learn all that stuff. So it's going to be a little bit of a process for him, but I'm still looking forward to what he brings to the table, and what the future is going to look like for him moving forward. Okay. Is that it for this? I think it is. We're 48 minutes in, and so I should just call it a show, but I did promise that I was going to give a few recruiting updates. So we'll do that. Before we do, let's talk insurance real quick. Nobody wants to deal with the hassle of shopping around, and that's why I use and recommend OZK Insurance. They're based right here in Arkansas, and they shop multiple carriers to find the best coverage and price for you, whether it's home, auto, business, you name it. Whether it's Saturdays at Razorback Stadium or everyday life, you want protection that you can count on. With over 600 five-star Google reviews, count on OZK Insurance and get a free online quote at ozkinsurance.com or call 479-715-4200. It's OZK Insurance, protection made simple. Okay, so let's wrap here with some recruiting stuff this morning. I think it was Hogball Burner in the Discord Sunday night. He was like, man, can't wait for PATP in the morning, Pot at the Palace. Looking forward to it. And I was like, dude, this is going to be like an hour-long episode. I feel it. I knew from the very moment I saw that this pro day was a legit operation, I was like, yes, this is going to be a long one. And then, the rest of the week will be like 25, 30-minute episodes, and people are going to be like, what the heck, man? We had a lot to talk about this weekend. And I was a little bit hesitant because I'm like, man, if we talk about all this pro day stuff and then we get into these recruiting updates, what the hell are we going to talk about the rest of the week? Guess what? We'll find things, because we're almost there with this basketball team. I'm pumped for it. But recruiting wise, okay. Well, speaking of things coming this week, heads up, I'm going to have a full segment on the online harassment that Abu Torre has been going through all weekend from UConn fans in particular on tomorrow's show. I intended to lead with it today, but with all the pro day stuff, that's, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but crazy stuff going on there. Abu Torre made the right decision. I'll just go ahead and say that. But notable developments elsewhere on the recruiting trail is we just try to determine what's next or who is next for Arkansas. And I'll tell you right now who Arkansas intends for it to be. And it's the nation's number one center, Arafan, which, by the way, the Border League was going down this weekend, and several prospects were on display out there, including Arafan. And I'm going to play for you guys a highlight clip from his festivities while I talk about this. And so let me actually go ahead and pull that up. Spoiler alert, he's large and very talented. So you guys can watch him dunk on people and just move bodies around. That's impressive. I think about the way Arkansas is running their offense and, trying to run things through the big. How about this guy, 7-footer, leading up the floor and a little give and go action? Yeah, I think that could probably play with what Arkansas is trying to do. Dump it into him. It's fine. Mouse in the house. We go to work. What we have here, a little post up, double team. It doesn't matter. I'm bigger than you. Dunking the basketball. He's just a monster, man. At any rate, not only is Arafan at the top of the priority list for Arkansas, he is also the most likely next in line to make a decision when we talk about time frames, timelines, and everything like that. So we're looking at a November decision from Arafan. I don't know how else to say it other than there are reasons why Arkansas feels a hell of a lot better about its chances here than the recruiting experts give them credit for. And you can say what you want, On3 thinks it's going to be Houston, and 24/7 sure it's going to be Houston. Need I remind you that John Calipari has made these recruiting experts look like idiots with both of his current commits in the 2026 class. So if you want to count Arkansas out here and Sharpie Arafan to Houston, be my guest. Forgive me if I'm not buying it just yet. Indiana visit still upcoming in a couple weeks. Houston to wrap things up on October 24th. So yes, that one looms particularly large here. The Razorback recruiting machine is zeroed in on the big fella here. So stay tuned on that front. I think they've made a very big impression on him. They feel really good about the relationship that they built there. And I know from a financial standpoint, Arkansas is going to be very, very appealing to the big fella there. Nothing has changed on the Brandon McCoy front with Arkansas other than he inked a Nike endorsement deal, and Arkansas is a Nike school. Other schools are recruiting him. We know the visits that he's taken here recently. I know Michigan was out there to watch him in person, but Arkansas is still in a really good spot there. Like I don't necessarily have an update on Brandon McCoy, but nothing has changed, and I had Arkansas running very, very warm with him. Caleb Holt, listen, I'm not saying it would never happen. I just never saw the Holt JJ Torre thing making a whole bunch of sense. We'll see. Like I would take him in a heartbeat. I'm just saying I think it's more or less how interested would Caleb Holt be in the redundancy there at those positions, especially depending on what you bring back. So there has been a lot of movement with him over the weekend. First of all, he visited Arizona. He was at their Midnight Madness event. I'm not sure what they call it. Secondly, he canceled his trip to Auburn. Sorry, Quinn. Sorry, Stephen Pearl. Third, and this is notable, he's taken an unofficial visit, a second stop to Kentucky for Big Blue Madness this weekend. I had a source tell me over the weekend that the buzz among college GMs out at the Border League and agents who were out there is that Mark Pope is recruiting like there's no rules at all financially, which why wouldn't you if you had the resources? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but basically that he's going to pay any price it takes to prove himself as a high school recruiter, which in my opinion is a choice in this particular class. So to each their own, but they're all in financially on Tyron Stokes. They're bringing in both Caleb Holt and Jordan Smith Jr. for their Midnight Madness this weekend. So we'll continue to look at that. Jordan Smith Jr., he was at Duke kicking it with Jason Tatum and the boys this weekend. So there's that. Kentucky, just said it. He's going to be visiting there. Never say never with a kid who isn't expected to commit for several months, but I have a feeling Arkansas is hoping to get this class a little bit more locked up before he decides. So we'll see if his commitment timeline changes, what that looks like. I mean, hell, if you get to the spring and let's say you didn't get a Brandon McCoy, or he hasn't decided yet, then game on. But I feel like if you do, land another guard, or you wind up with, your 4 freshmen or whatever before that point, maybe they, move on or aren't pursuing as heavily or something like that. So we'll watch it. As of now, I still think we're playing the long game. But immediate major priorities: Arafan, Brandon McCoy, add Baba Oladuton to that list. He's visiting soon. And Arkansas has been all over him. We know this. Cal's been out to see him multiple times here. To me, it feels like Arkansas has a particular formula with how they're attacking this thing. Like, you've got your 2 locked down, you've got your 3 locked down, you're all in for a big man, you're pursuing a lead guard. But Baba is like that Swiss Army knife, right? You do whatever you can to get him, and then you figure it out. He's a 6'10" guard. You could play him at any number of positions, do any number of things with him. So he would be the reason, if there is one, that I could see Arkansas stretching this thing out to 5 freshmen, maybe. And I do believe that Arkansas has a realistic chance to land him. Now, can they get him and McCoy, or him and Arafan, or all 3? That I'm not sure of yet. I think Arkansas is going to have, plenty of resources to turn to, like from an NIL standpoint, rev share, whatever you want to call it, they'll be okay there. But you'll also have to consider, well, how much do we think we're going to have to pay guys who we're trying to retain? And what are we really going to need out of a portal? We're probably going to need a starting front court player. How much is that going to cost? So there are things that you have to consider there. So we'll monitor it. I wish they were making us privy to the budget, but they're not. So also, did you guys see Adonis Ratliff, by the way? Yeah, that's the 7-footer Arkansas recently offered. Him and his brother, Darius, and they were at the Border League also. But Adonis went for 35 points and knocked down 9 threes in the process. And I want to show this. So, first of all, yeah, let's go ahead and get both those guys. If Arafan doesn't work out, fine. Sign me up for that. Good grief. But it's also worth noting that he did this against Arafan's team. But I want to pull up this video so you can see this and why, even though they're currently ranked in the 40s or 50s or whatever as recruits, it's like the upside is undeniable, because there's not many 7-footers who can go unconscious and knock down shots and make plays like this. So let's see what we have here. That's in Arafan's face. Hand down, man down. And that's a tough guy to keep in front there. Another kick out. Yeah, he's not the guy I would be helping off. It's crazy work. What do we have here? All right, Arafan. Okay. If you're just going to let me shoot it, bro, I'm going to continue to do it. Against the press, it's fine. He's trailing. He's wide open. Bang-a-ring. I mean, this is absurd. 7 feet tall, knocking down threes. Bang. That looks good. That looks really good. Somebody was comparing him to Chet Holmgren on the Discord. And at first, I laughed it off. I was like, well, relax a little bit. And yes, relax. But I mean, shit. Look at this, another one. This is not good tape for our favorite big man prospect, by the way. Do we need to reorder our power rankings or something? Maybe not. I mean, listen, they're 2 different types of players, right? Arafan's just a big, bruising, offensively gifted center who's going to be a force around the rim. And Adonis is just more of your modern big man who's long and athletic and has guard skills and can stretch the floor and shoot it. I'd say why not both, but I don't know if you could take all 3 between the twins and Arafan. You know what I mean? That's doing a little bit too much at that point. Unless you're going to play them all right away, or maybe unless you can you're returning Malik Ewan. That's one way I could see him doing it. It's like, you're returning Ewan, and then you have Arafan. So that's your 5 spot right there. And then if you just had a trio of the Ratliffs and a second year Paolo, and then maybe you get a big wing out of the portal that, it's like, all right, we can play that guy at the 4 if we need to, whatever. Then you could make it work, but that's a lot of front court ads for a freshman class. So I hope they just get one or the other from the group there. But anyway, wanted to share that with you guys. Anyway, I am getting out of here now. It has been an hour-long show after this weekend, but well worth it. And again, if you guys haven't checked out that Pro Day, it's still there. Go to the FanDuel channel, and you probably have to go to the live tab and replay it. I think they also showed it for free on Hogs Plus, so you might be able to go back and check it out there. But it was a lot of fun, and I think you'll come away pretty impressed with Coach Cal and just kind of the attention he has from his team, the attention to detail that he has there. It was him coaching them up, not the other guys, not the assistants. They were involved, but he was very, very active out there for those who says he's washed and he can't coach. And the guys are really responding to it, and they look good. It was a lot of fun. But appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. Subscribe to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. Find the Pod at the Palace where you find your podcast, wherever that may be. We'll be back tomorrow. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas on the Pod at the Palace. You guys have a great day. We'll see you in the morning.